Hi, my name is Jamie Statz-Paynter and I'm a Stampin' Up! Independent demonstrator, and I am going to be doing this card class for the Verona Library, and these are the 4 birthday cards that I have made. So I've made a feminine one for children, a masculine one, and this is a catch-all that you can use for any person that you would like. So what you'll see is the each of the cards that I have on the very upper corner of the envelope should have a number on it, and that'll correspond with the number of cards we're making, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to start in that order, so if you can pull your cards together and start in that order, that will help. So what I'm going to do is start with the first card, and I try to go in increasing difficulty for what we're doing for the card, and I'm going to keep this first one here. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring all the pieces out that we're going to be using. And I've done a little bit of pre-cutting ahead of time so that when it comes time for that, you will need to stop the tape just to cut on your own. But I was trying to save us a little bit of time on the video here. If your card stays up like this, I use the back of my bone folder, but you can also use the back of a scissors to make it lie flat. So this is going to be the inside of our card. And the outside is going to be this sheet. And you can see I try to save paper all the time. So I cut my happy birthday sentiment out from that because you're not going to see what's behind there with the paper I'm using. And I'm using just a little bit different paper here. So the first thing I'm going to do is glue the back of this paper. And I put it about 1/4 of an inch. No closer than that, because otherwise what's going to happen is your paper is going to smear when you put it down. And you can see I always measure where I was putting the paper first, so I make sure that I cut it correctly. So if your paper was not cut correctly, you can always fix that prior to gluing it on. And that's all you would do, is cut it just a little bit different. You can see by our Stampin' Up! Paper, you could either have used this side or this side, but I wanted to use something a little bit different. And so I put a variety of papers in when you're making it. The next thing I want to do is, so on this first card here, it is half of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and I cut it in half at 5.5, so that this is 8 1/2 by 5 by 5 1/2. So when you fold it over, it's 4 1/4 by 5.5, which is my cardstock layers. The first layer is 4 inch by 5 1/4. The second layer of my designer series paper is 3 3/4 by 5 inch. I go everything down by 1/4 inch because that helps you so that you know it's like 4/4 to $1. That should help you figure out the right way or proportions to do this. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a silicone mat, and I'm going to do something a little bit different with gluing this on. So I use the Tombow Mono liquid glue. I like it because it lasts the test of time, that no matter where I've sent things to Afghanistan or Australia or wherever, no matter hot, cold, it will last forever. So now you can either just go like this and put a little on, and what I do is you have to wait just a little bit when you do that to make sure that it gets a chance to stick, otherwise it'll smear. Or the second way you can do it is if you have a little piece of foam, you take and you dip it, and then you pat it like this. And this is always nice when you are doing things that are fine. And then I'll move it up there so it can set just a bit. So it's got enough glue on it to stay, but now it's not going to go through, that I don't have to worry about it smearing the front of the design I'm making. And then I won't have to use my glue eraser. And I'll just keep that there. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. Happy. Oops. And then I just pat it down, and you can see nothing smeared on this. And birthday. And then I'll put that away for later. Next thing you've done, and you may want to stop for just a second, is I have taken my cardstock, and you can either have this image where you've got a flower like this, or one like this, and it's on a white sheet of, or the petal pink paper. And then what you're going to do is cut it out, which I've already done just to save a little time here. So what I'm going to do is on this inside, your inside piece, if you have this one, will already be stamped right on there. Whereas if you have this flower, you'll have to cut it out and then attach it like I did here. And again, 1/4 of an inch in. You don't need to glue all that on the inside. This glue will hold no matter where you send it. And you can see this one I cut a little bit smaller. So this is probably 3.5 by 4 3/4. And you can see that I can move this. Do you see how I did that? If you use tape runners, once it's down, it's down. You cannot change that. So now once you've got this cut out, you can either use Scotch tape, or I use my tear and tape adhesive, which is 2-sided tape. And I'm going to fold the ribbon over like this. And for this one, you have to decide which direction you want to go on. Whereas this one, there's only one direction for it to go, which is up. And I'm going to put it like about there. So now I'm going to flip it over. You can see I was practicing on the other side there. And then I'm going to tear this piece off here. And then I'm going to put another piece of tear and tape adhesive right here. And right here, just to help, and then this will help glue it to the front. So if you don't have that and you want to use glue, you can use glue as well. But since I'm using this medium for tape, I just thought I'd be consistent. And I'm going to put that right there. There we go. And I'm going to pull that apart just so it gives it a little bit more. And then what I'm going to do is take and cut this so it's in a diagonal, because I just like the way that looks for a diagonal. Gives it just a little more dimension. So here are the 2 different lookings of cards, different flowers. And again, you can try just about anything you want, different paper. Now we're going to go to the second card. The second card is my card for children, and it's ice cream cone. And it says, "Happy birthday" with sprinkles on top. Let's treat yourself. So I'm going to take and I'm going to start with the inside, since that's a little easier. And I'm going to show you one of the tape runners that I use is my Fast Fuse, which is an older one that I still have some left. So I'm using that. And that's what a tape runner looks like. If your tape runner starts to not stick, but if you pull it too fast, what's going to happen is you're not going to get an even line. Like, see how I pulled it too fast and it looks a little different? So by pulling it slower, you're going to help with that. And then I'm going to glue that inside. And now I'm going to do the front. Now you can see on the front of this one, I used that paper, where this time I'm going to use this side. And I'm going to just use since I'm on a roll with my fuse runner, I'm going to go there, and I'm going to make it about 1/4 inch from each side. And then I'll put my happy birthday with sprinkles on top. Also, you can see when I was doing it, I got a little too much ink there. The nice part about the Stampin' Up! White paper is that you can't see it through the back. So when I go to use this again, I can put it on and I'm not going to tell that I did something on the back. Where other paper I've used, I found that it is not the case. And I'll use this. I think I smeared it a little when I was stapling it. So now what I'm going to do is I've got my crumb cake paper here, and I'm going to glue my ice cream cones here. What I did here, you can see you can see that they're different colors. So I made this one, I used it a little bit lighter. The longer you hold down on your ink when you are pressing it to make your image, the darker it's going to get. And so you have to, I switched this one and went over on the other side because it was just a little too dark and didn't match the other ones. So what I'm going to start is I always, when I'm doing cones or anything that's got multiple images, if I want them equal, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the first edge on the right. Then I'm going to go with the second one on the left. And then the middle one, whoops, the middle one can go equal between the two. There we go. Okay, if I do glue on my fingers, you can always just rub it off. This one you see I'm doing a little bit different colors for the cones. And on this one I just put the crumb cake sprinkles, where this one I use Calypso Coral and the brown Early Espresso and my Highland Heather. So I did things just a little bit different. So I'm not sure which color sprinkles you got, but I think I gave you the one that looks like this. So now I'm going to peel off the dimensionals that are on here. Oops. And I'm going to put it so my cone sticks on there. The nice part about dimensionals is that it raises your image. So they should already be on the ones that I sent you of the ice cream cones. And it gives it that little extra, I call it something something, because I just like the way it is when it's raised. Now the only thing you have to think about when doing that is then when you are mailing it, the post office usually looks at things to say how everything, if it's lumpy, and because I've got a gemstone on, it is lumpy, and so they're not going to like that. So what I do is the back of my cardstock usually has a piece of thin stuff that holds the paper together. I cut that apart and I put that on top, because then when they do it, they're not going to tell. The other thing you would do when mailing this one is I'm going to put the front that's lumpy to the back, because they're going to feel like this, and when they put it on the ground, they're not going to feel that it's lumpy, because the lumpy part is going to be behind you. So that'll also help. So now you can see the two different looks that this have with the two different designer series paper. Alrighty, just clean up here. My third image is this one, which is for Dad, and I decided to go with my golfing shirt here. And to the world, you are a dad. To me, you are the world. And it's Celebrate Dad. So what we're going to do is this first one, unfortunately, I already glued this to there, so we'll start with that for you. You take your Night of Navy paper and you put glue on it and you center it in the inside, and then where I've got stamped, you center that also, glue it and center it on the inside. Now when you're doing that, if you don't like the sentiments that I have, if you want to put something just different, just flip it over. It'll be a solid white color and that'll work for you. Or if you don't want the blue and you want more writing space, then don't put either of these two things on there. Next, what I'm going to do is I've got these little pieces here. Uh-oh, I think I just swept away the little buttons that I have here. So I'm just going to show you how to do it without the buttons, but you should have the buttons. First thing I'm going to do is we're going to take this piece here, which is the collar, and I'm going to, for myself, own purposes, go like that and say, yeah, that's about where the collar is going to lay. It's just held together by a thin little piece, and if by chance when you're pulling it out you happen to rip it, just put them right back together. And then the next piece is going to be the where the button down goes. So you can look to say, okay, do I want my buttons, is that good, or is that, oops, here's my buttons, is that the right size? So I like to lay my pieces here to see what I like first. And what I can do is take my little buttons, and I've got little mini glue dots on them, and put one there, put one here, evenly how you want it. Oops, a little bit lower. I guess that one could go just a tad bit lower. But then I'm going to cut this just a little bit more. There we go. So I know that's where it's going to be. And then my Celebrate will be down here, and I can angle it, or I just like things a little level like that. So I'm first going to attach my pocket, since I've got it where I want it, and that looks equal distance there. Laying it out makes it a lot easier to see what you're going to do before you start doing it. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, just to make things difficult, I guess, is I'm going to take my Celebrate, and I'm going to add another little piece of glue up here. Or again, you could just line through the glue like this. but I'm going to take this little glue and dab my words. You'll see I usually don't bring this to when I come to class because the glue does dry quickly, and then if you're the next person that's using it, I don't want it to be lumpy. So right away, as soon as I'm done with this class, I will go wash my little mini sponge here. Whoops. Well, we know where it's going to go, so I'm not going to worry about this. My little fingers. So I'm going to put it right about there. And again, if you let it sit for just a little bit, that's how you make sure that you can get it on without getting glue on the top of your words. So now we said this is going to go up here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to first take and glue this on the back so I can put that down first. But what I'm going to do is leave it not so tight or panking it down, because I also want to put this piece right away in so that it goes under the collar just a little bit to hold it down. Okay, so there is about even. Now I'm going to put my little, I'm going to put this side up so that you don't see it. So now I can put this down and I can push this down. Oops. You can see the glue, I was able to move it. If I used a tape runner, I wouldn't be able to do that for this. And you could have used this side, but nobody wants golf clubs on your t-shirt. Well, I don't think so. So you might have a variety of different colors here for your golf shirt. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut the inside, because you want this to look like a collar. And it can't look like a collar if you've got a shirt underneath there. Here we go. Just to make sure it's just a little even there. And now I'm going to take my glue, again about 1/4 inch everywhere, and you see I just go fast. The faster I go, the more I know I'm not going to leave too much glue. And now I'm going to even it, put it about 1/4 inch from all of these places. And now you see you have my 2 cards. And the final card. This is my fun fold cards. For those of you that know me, I just love fun folds. So this one, you untie it and you pull it and it wraps like that. What you think? Hope you like it. I love this one. Okay, so now all your paper is going to be in here. And when you're taking it out, look at how I put these two together. So you're going to push them down like this, and you're going to look to see that there should be very little space here. If you have space, try to push them together more, or see if you put which one should be on the top and which one shouldn't. The closer you get it to the inside, the less space there'll be. And so what I tried to do when I first gave it to you is having it exactly where I wanted it for the space wise. So that this is the top, this is the bottom. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my glue on the top sheet and I'm going to put it in here evenly and tightly. Make sure this is together, and then I'm going to pank it down. You can open it if you want and pank it down, but I want to make sure that this stays. Okay? Next thing you're going to do is you've got these red pieces, I've got string, I've got my enjoy and my dog. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do is glue this white piece to my white square to my black square. You're going to make sure it's centered. There you go. And now I'm going to glue my dog. And I apologize if you're not a dog person, but you probably know somebody you could give this to who is a dog person. But this just reminded me of Lady and the Tramp, so that's why I like this so much. And then I'm going to put a little heart. Just because. Oops. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to measure to make sure that this ends up being about 1/4 inch from there. So I'm going to glue this one to the top. And again, trying to get it so that it's about, let's see if you can see here. There we go. And now, let's see, we've got, when you look at your paper, it should be cut in half and have it a top and a bottom. So you're going to want to make sure when this closes that the dog bones and everything is facing in the right direction. So this is the direction I want it going. And if you prefer this, the scratch and woof woof, you might just have to put your inside a little bit different if you prefer that. There we go. Okay, now this one we're going to glue down. Yep, maybe just a little there. I'm going to go like this. I open it up just so I can see it a little better for where my angles are. You can see where the line is there. It's going to be closed like this. So it's going to go just like that. Whoops! You can see it moved a little bit. So let's put it down. A little bit of glue on my hand that time. Okay, since I got a little bit of glue, I'm going to use my little eraser to get my little glue off. Part of my dried finger, unfortunately. And the same here. So now that's what that looks like. So then the inside of your card, you're going to open it and you're going to put it this way, because again, the whole purpose is it twists. It's a twisting fun fold. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the tape runner for this one. Okay, now if you can either leave it plain or you can color it. I'm going to color it here with my, let's see, Stampin' Blend. So this is my light smoky slate, and this should be dark, and this is my dark smoky slate. So how I color it is I use a little bit of the edges here just to go around a little bit of where I want a little bit darker. And then I'm going to take my light one. And actually, I like the paintbrush one when I'm coloring it in. I'm just going to rub it like this, round in circles. Don't want to get it on there. To color the dark stuff and blend the dark. That's why they're called Stampin' Blends. It's going to combine the dark and the light to give you just a little bit of shading. There. Then you can let it dry and see if you like it or if you want to go over it a little bit more. Then what I'm going to use is just a little, oops, I'm going to reach up here and grab a little red marker since I have red here. And I'm just going to color his tag red. Oops, use the bigger one. a little bit easier. But you can use colored pencils. You can use watercolors. You can use whatever you want. So now this is how it's closed. Oops, a little glue back there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you saw how this was like this. So what I'm going to do is take, excuse me, so sorry. I'm going to take my tear and tape adhesive, and I'm going to take 2 pieces of this, and I'm going to see how I stuck it out. How in this, I stuck out about that much. So that's what I want to do, is stick out about that much, right about there. So I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to put 1 piece of my tear and tape adhesive, or you can use Scotch tape. And I'm not going to take off this tear and tape adhesive, because when I glue it, I'm only going to glue this top part of the triangle. So this one I will take off, but the other one I won't. So you're taking the glue and you're going like this, because you don't want the rest showing. And what I'm going to do is, you've got it forward here, is you're going to put this right in the middle, so the points go here to here. Then I'm going to push it down, and again, you can see if I put just a tad bit more glue, I'm going to use my thumb to get that, and then I'll use the glue eraser later. But this way, I now have this, so I can tie and make a bow. There you go. And again, the same one here. This uses ribbon, this one uses string, so you can see it just depends which one you want. But this is easy to make the card. Whoops. I hope you enjoyed your time with me here. Again, I'd like to thank the Verona Library for allowing me to come here, and then again to show you the card that we made. And again, I'm going to show you both sides. So I'm going to show you this side and my different colors. So we'll show you the ones that I made here. So again, thank you for inviting me. If you have any questions, you can see my email address there, Badger Mom Stamps. Give me a shout out and I can help you with anything that you need. Thank you and have a wonderful day.